The crowd never thinks. It erupts, it doesn't debate, it screams, it doesn't reflect, it reacts. You think you're in control of your opinion, but maybe you're just echoing the loudest voice in the room. The truth is unsettling. Humans, you, me, anyone, become something else when we join a group. It's like we switch off the brain and activate a primitive instinct that doesn't think, it just feels. And you know who understood that over 100 years ago? A man who watched society crumble, wars ignite out of nowhere, and reputations destroyed in the blink of an eye. He cracked a code, and that code is still being used against you today. The question is, do you have the guts to see the truth? Or will you keep shouting with the crowd? Go to the end of this video and find out for yourself. You've been hypnotized, and you didn't even notice. That's the kind of truth Gustave Le Bon exposed back in 1895 in his book, The Crowd, a study of the popular mind, a disturbing manual on how we think, but actually just react. You don't need a swinging pendulum in front of you, just a meme, a headline with fire-triggering words, a video with dramatic music and bold captions, a phrase repeated so many times that suddenly you believe it, even though you don't know why. That's how an entire society gets hypnotized, with simplicity, with repetition, with emotion. Stop and think. How many of your beliefs have you actually investigated? How many ideas do you defend with everything you've got, but can't even trace their origin? How many times have you hated someone simply because everyone around you did too? That's not thinking. That's emotional contagion. If even a part of you is tired of being shaped by noise, by crowds, by invisible hands, tap like now, not for me, but to mark this moment, the one where you chose to wake up. French philosopher Gustave Le Bon warned the world about this back in the 19th century. He observed something deeply disturbing. When humans form a crowd, they stop thinking as individuals. Logic dissolves, identity blurs, reason is replaced by impulse, and in the place of reason comes raw emotion, the kind that ignites revolts, creates myths, and elects leaders who promise everything in one catchy sentence. The scariest part? The crowd doesn't need to be in the streets. It can be inside your home, in your feed, in your family's WhatsApp group. And even when you believe you're thinking for yourself, you might just be echoing the strongest emotion around you. This kind of manipulation doesn't force itself. It seeps in. It doesn't push. It suggests. It doesn't demand. It invites. And little by little, without noticing, you're no longer choosing. You're reacting, defending, attacking, driven by impulse, belonging, and fear of being the odd one out. That's the power of the masses, and also the invisible danger surrounding you every single day. It all starts with a discomfort, and after that, you never see the world the same way again. There comes a moment when something cracks. You see a crowd shouting and feel something is off. You hear automatic applause and wonder, what exactly are we clapping for? You read a violent comment with 1,000 likes and realize no one stopped to ask if it made any sense. That's the beginning, the moment when social anesthesia starts to wear off and you begin to wake up. The journey that begins here is not comfortable. It's like walking down a dark hallway where familiar voices suddenly sound strange. Because once you realize the world is filled with pre-packaged ideas, implanted feelings, and manufactured certainties, you begin to ask, how much of this is also inside me? That's what Le Bon meant to show. No one is immune, not the smartest, not the most educated. The collective mind holds an ancestral, almost tribal power that seeps into even the most rational structures. You may have read every book, but if the crowd yells loud enough, you hesitate. You may have solid arguments. But if everyone turns their back, you doubt yourself. You might even know the truth. But if the illusion is more comfortable, it wins. That's where the real challenge begins. To keep thinking when everyone else is just feeling. To stay firm when the emotional tide sweeps even the clearest minds away. To listen to your own voice, not the loudest, not the most repeated, but the most authentic. And that's not easy. Because staying awake takes courage. Courage to disagree. Courage not to follow. Courage to think in silence when everyone's screaming. And most of all, courage to question what you've always believed. That's the beginning of the divide between those who survive manipulation and those who feed. It's without even knowing. You're not being attacked, you're being shaped. The problem isn't someone chasing you, it's someone shaping you, and you thinking it was your choice. Real manipulation doesn't arrive as an enemy. It comes as an idea that feels like yours, a fear that feels legitimate, a desire you don't know where it came from, but now feels urgent. And the worst part, it doesn't push you, it seduces you. We live in a world where the crowd isn't just in the streets, it's in your pocket. Algorithms decide what you're going to feel when you wake up. Social media feeds your ego and your anger with surgical precision. Do you really think you chose to be outraged today? Or was it just the content that showed up first? Le Bon said, "Say it clearly. The crowd has no thirst for truth, it wants illusions. And today those illusions come with background music and sharp edits, with explosive headlines, with short, absolute punchy phrases, but empty of real thought. The real obstacle is that you've been trained since childhood to seek belonging, to agree with the group, to avoid conflict, to not be the weird one or the difficult one, but the different one. And that social instinct, so human, so deep, so legitimate, is exactly what makes you vulnerable. You don't share the truest video. You share the most emotional one. You don't follow the one who knows the most. You follow the one who sounds the most certain. You don't believe the most coherent argument. You believe what already fits what you feel. Meanwhile, charismatic leaders, politicians, gurus, influencers, know this game better than anyone. They don't argue, they don't explain. They capture feelings. They point to a villain. They offer a simple salvation, and with that they win over the crowd's heart, including yours. If you don't see this game, you'll keep thinking you're being informed, when in fact you're being programmed. You'll think you're choosing, when you're really just following the most predictable script, the crowd's script. Turn down the noise, light the doubt. If this made you pause, reflect, or see something differently, let your like be more than a click. Let it be a signal that you're not just scrolling, you're awakening. Now take a deep breath, close your eyes, and for a moment, turn the world off. Mute the feed, ignore the trending topics, forget the latest viral opinion that set half the internet on fire. If all that vanished, what would be left of you? If the crowd stopped screaming, would you still know what you think? This is your battle, and it doesn't require weapons or megaphones, it requires silence and awareness, because real awakening doesn't come from a catchy quote. It comes from the moment you decide to think on your own. It's when you stop being just another emotional link in the crowd's chain and become the one who stops and observes. The crowd doesn't want that. It wants you to react. It needs you to feel fast, decide fast, share fast, because the crowd only lives while you forget who you are. That's why your most revolutionary act today is to doubt the certainty they trained you to have, to doubt the emotion they sold you as outrage, to doubt the enemy they handed you to hate. It's not about becoming a cynic. It's about becoming conscious. It's about raising your hand when everyone's already clapping and asking, but what exactly are we clapping for? Don't accept truths packaged with viral ribbons. Don't swallow ideas in 3-second portions. You're capable of more depth, more complexity, more clarity. And if you've made it this far, it means something inside you is already waking up. The question now isn't whether you'll break free, it's what will you do with that freedom? The most dangerous manipulator might live inside you. You've stood up to the crowd, you've questioned the algorithms, you've challenged the charismatic leader, you've turned down the noise, but now comes the hardest blow, and it's not out there. It's inside you, because even after understanding all of this, something in you still craves belonging, still longs for the warmth of the group, that unspoken approval, that comforting feeling of being on the right side. You might escape the propaganda, the headlines, the viral videos, but how do you escape your own hunger for acceptance, your rush for meaning, your deep need to be right? Le Bon warned us, but he didn't finish the equation. The hardest crowd to leave is the one inside your mind. It's made of borrowed thoughts you never questioned, values you never chose, convictions you defend with passion, but maybe never. truly examined. Sometimes external manipulation only works because there's fertile ground inside, made of fear, insecurity, vanity. The external enemy is obvious. The internal one hides behind your voice of reason. So here's the real twist. You don't need to become a cynical nihilist or a loud rebel. You need to become honest enough to admit you've been manipulated, brave enough to accept you might be wrong, clear-minded enough to keep searching even after you've found answers. The world doesn't need more opinion parrots or hype chasers. It needs people who think deeply, feel clearly, and act authentically. People who carry an inner compass, not a broadcast speaker. So next time you feel outraged, fired up, or certain beyond question, pause. Ask yourself, is this really mine? Or was it planted in me? Because maybe true freedom isn't saying, what do you think? It's discovering with brutal honesty whether what you think is still truly yours. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.